took place in San Bernardino County. And as you can see, we are going to be recording this press conference and making it available on Romanucci and Blandin's website, as well as their YouTube channel later today. It is an honor for me to introduce you to two attorneys and our plaintiff. Let me get names and spellings out of the way. First, attorney Sam Harton, S-A-M, H-A-R-T-O-N. She is an attorney with Romanucci and Blandin in Chicago. We have attorney Christian Contreras, C-H-R-I-S-T-I-A-N. Contreras is C-O-N-T-R-E-R-A-S from the law office of Christian Contreras. And then we have Nicoya Wright, N-I-C-O-Y-A, last name Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T. She is the wife of Anthony Wright. We are going to be talking about some life-changing and traumatic injuries that happened to him while he was in the care of San Bernardino County Sheriff. I will turn it over to Sam Harton. Once all remarks are complete, we will do attorney Q&A, and you can simply indicate if you have a question in the chat. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Jen. And thank you everyone who's here to join us today to discuss this complaint, this important issue, this complaint we filed on behalf of Anthony Wright after he was paralyzed at the Glen, Helen Rehabilitation Center in San Bernardino County, California. So I'll provide you with some background on the case, and then my colleague and co-counsel Christian will walk you through the details of the complaint. Anthony Wright was a husband and a father of 3 children in San Bernardino, California, and he will spend the rest of his life without being able to use his arms and his legs because of unconstitutional force and conditions that he was put through at the Glen Helen Rehabilitation Center in San Bernardino, California. Anthony was a pretrial detainee who had not been convicted of any crime, and he was in the custody of the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department awaiting trial when he collapsed in the outdoor section of the center after being locked outside with about 80 other detainees in the heat without access to clean water or shade. After he collapsed, the San Bernardino guards used excessive force on him and failed to account to the serious risk to his safety. Their indifference to him has rendered him paralyzed with a fractured spinal cord. So today, National Civil Rights Trial firm Romanucci and Blandin and the law offices of Christian Contreras announced the filing of a lawsuit holding those responsible accountable. On April 25th, 2023, Anthony, along with 80 other pretrial detainees, was forced to stand outside in the hot sun without water or shade in clear violation of facility policy. Detainees begged officers to be let inside, visibly suffering from the heat, but they were ignored. Anthony collapsed from dehydration and heat exhaustion, and when he regained consciousness near a metal toilet outside, fellow detainees pleaded for medical help. No staff responded, and no medical staff responded. Instead, a deputy stood over him and violently yanked him forward by the wrists, slamming his head into the nearby toilet and fracturing his neck. In that moment, Anthony felt a searing pain go down his spine, and he was unable to move. He was eventually taken to a county hospital where, after expressing hesitation about a surgery, he was sedated against his will and operated on. Anthony is now permanently paralyzed from the neck down, his life shattered by the carelessness, the cruelty, and the complete abandonment of human decency. The conduct of defendants was reckless, inhumane, and in clear violation of basic rights, demonstrating objective unreasonableness and deliberate indifference to the suffering of those in their care, including Anthony. Their actions and willful inaction directly resulted in unnecessary harm, suffering, permanent injury, and they are fully accountable, and we intend to hold them fully accountable for the consequences that followed. The unconstitutional conditions and actions experienced by Anthony Wright not only changed his life forever, but that of his wife and his 3 children. They will all feel the painful reverberations of that day for the rest of their life. It is our aim that this legal action creates some sense of justice for this family, for what each of them have and will continue to endure. So now I'd like to turn it over to Attorney Christian Contreras in California, who's our co-counsel in this case.
Hey, good afternoon, Christian Contreras on behalf of plaintiffs here. We've filed a sweeping federal civil rights case, which was filed April 15th, yesterday, in federal district court here in Central District of California against the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, the County of San Bernardino itself, Sheriff Dykes, and other individuals stemming from the constitutional violations that they subjected to Mr. Wright to, rather, and his family, and his wife and his children. And so this lawsuit, it's based upon all the rights that everyone has, all the rights that individuals in custody have, including folks who are awaiting trial, presumed innocent. And so the main claims in this case include 14th Amendment violations, which require jail staff like the Glen Helen Rehabilitation Center to ensure that they protect folks from harm, that they protect them from unreasonable risk of harm, and to ensure that when they have medical help that they need, that those are addressed and they are timely addressed to prevent someone like Mr. Wright to be permanently incapacitated for the rest of their lives, to prevent situations just like this. And so, in addition to the individual claims that we have, the 14th Amendment violations, we're also asserting municipal liability, which is a claim directly against the County of San Bernardino for its customs and practices, essentially its standard operating procedure of how they permit so many people in their custody to die and to also suffer serious injury, and also their failure to train its staff to handle these recurring situations. And we also have state law claims, and we have all of these claims to ensure that Mr. Wright's rights are remedied, his family's rights are addressed, and that this doesn't happen again because they violated the trust that we placed in them, so they must be held accountable. So we will see this through the end and ensure that this family gets justice. I'd like to now introduce Anthony's wife, Nicole Wright. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicole Wright. I am the proud wife of Anthony Wright. Today, I am here with a heavy heart and a message that needs to be shared. Anthony was injured in a San Bernardino County jail in a catastrophic incident that changed our lives forever. He was a vibrant man full of life and energy, an amazing father who was actively involved in our children's lives. He was their coach, their teacher, and their biggest supporter. But that all changed when he was injured by a correctional officer at the Glen Helen Rehabilitation Center. He is now quadriplegic and paralyzed from the neck down. Imagine waking up each day knowing that your loved one is suffering, fighting through the physical and emotional pain that comes with such a devastating condition. Worse, he remains in custody in a cell in the prison wing of Riverside Hospital, alone for most of the day. That is why I am speaking today instead of him. Anthony is now unable to move or feel from the shoulders down, and this has not only affected him, but also deeply impacted our family. Our children who once looked up to him as a hero now see their father struggling with daily tasks that many of us take for granted. Despite these challenges, Anthony remains an incredible source of strength and inspiration. He continues to be an active part of our children's lives. Finding ways to engage with them, his spirit is unbroken, and he teaches our kids about resilience, love, and the importance of being there for one another. No one should have to endure what Anthony has gone through. I am speaking today to raise awareness and be a voice for Anthony while he cannot be a voice for himself. Thank you for listening and caring about the injustice our family has experienced.
Thank you, Nicoya. We are now at the portion of our press conference where we will open it up for Q&A. I'll give you all a minute. If you've got a question you'd like to ask, please just indicate so in the chat. You can include your name and the name of your media outlet. And while we are giving people a moment to do that, I will ask Christian if he can talk about next steps and timing in this case. That's usually one of the questions that comes up, and perhaps you can walk us through procedurally what to expect next.
Now that the lawsuit has been filed, we will be serving the defendants in this case, including the sheriff's department and the county. Once they are served, we will also uh, be ready for any type of response that they have, whether it be some sort of motion or whether they are answering in this case. I also want to note, however, that the county has violated the Public Records Act here in California. The Public Records Act is a constitutional right that everyone has to public records that a county, such as the county of San Bernardino, must provide to the public because they conduct the people's business. When we requested information about this case, we didn't receive any information whatsoever concerning Mr. Wright. And so we have parallel proceedings that we're initiating concerning the violation of the Public Records Act that will also be ongoing in conjunction with the federal civil rights case. So it's a two-pronged attack that we're engaging in to ensure that this family gets justice, and we have some basic information concerning this case.
Thank you, Christian. Sam, I will ask you to talk for just a moment about what you see as this family's experience. You have worked on a number of prisoner rights cases, and I know you've had some really lovely things to say about the family. Can you talk a little bit about how they have been through all of this?
Thank you, Jen. I visited with Anthony a few weeks ago. He's currently, unfortunately, still in custody, and he is living in a prison wing, a jail wing of the Riverside County Hospital, where he sits in a cell essentially 24 hours a day, no window to look out of, with unable to move his limbs. The only sort of relief he has throughout the day is the times when his wife Nicoya is able to speak with him and come visit with him, or his children. And him and Nicoya speak to each other every day on the phone. But Mr. Wright is in an absolutely deplorable and an incomprehensible situation where he has to, his life is forever changed, and he remains in county custody.
Thank you. Last question will be for Christian, and perhaps you can explain the standard of reasonableness and why the guard's behavior in this case was not reasonable.
Given that Mr. Wright was innocent until proven guilty, he has this presumption of innocence, just like any other person in this country when they are awaiting a trial, then the 14th Amendment under the Constitution applies, which again allows for someone to be free from harm, free from excessive force, free from a delay in medical treatment. And so the standard is objective deliberate indifference. And objective is not merely what the officer said. It's not merely that these officers come up with an excuse. Objectively, was the conduct proper? Looking at all the circumstances and looking at all the circumstances here, we see that someone was in need for help in a dire situation, and they made it worse by treating him inhumanely. Another standard is deliberate indifference, and that is merely knowing of a harm, of a risk of harm, and proceeding with the course of action knowing that that harm is going to occur. And so here we know that Mr. Wright was again in a dire situation. The guards knew that if they moved him in a manner which could cause him further harm, then he could suffer a serious injury like we have here. And so we know that the guards proceeded with their course of action, being deliberately indifferent towards the rights of Mr. Wright, showing that the standard that we have here has been met. And we believe that this is a very strong case, which hopefully results in some sort of changes within this institution.
Thank you, everyone. Not seeing any questions in the queue, that will conclude our press conference. I will add that should any member of the media have questions, you can direct them to the email press, P-R-E-S-S, at rblaw.net. This recording, as I mentioned, will also be available on the YouTube page for Romanucci and Blandin, as it will be on our website, rblaw.net. Thank you especially to Nicoya Wright, and thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.